Welcome to this episode of the Customer Centric Retailing Podcast. This is Anil Patel, founder and CEO of Hotwise Commerce. In this podcast, we discuss e-commerce, omnichannel technology, pre-order management, brick and mortar operations, retail culture, innovation, and how all these elements come together to create customer-centric retailing. Join us to hear the brightest minds in the retail industry share their experiences and thoughts on the most relevant topics today. Hello, everyone. This is Anil Patel once again with the Customer Centric Retailing Podcast. Well, we are now entering in AI era, right? So today I have with me a very special guest, Sid Arigapudi. He is VP of Technology at 511. And I have had a chance to talk to him about AI, and he has some really interesting ideas. So I thought we should have a conversation on AI in retail. Hey, Sid, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, Anil. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome, man. I'm really excited. And it's like I'm sure you are, and I'm going to these conferences, and there's a lot of AI all over. So I cannot resist. I cannot hold myself up from not having a conversation on this. So thank you very much for being available for conversation. I know it's really technical. So your strong background in technology paired with retail business. I mean, having product engineering and product and customer experience and all that put together makes a lot of sense for me to right now have a conversation on AI with you. So yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. So, for our audience, if you could give us a little bit of your background so, everybody knows where you're coming from and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was doing the math, I'm realizing I'm getting quite old. I've been on this retail journey for almost 20 years now, exactly 20 years, in fact, and started my journey at Macy's, the retail store, the department store out of college as part of their executive development program. And, these types of programs are great pathways for those of us. My degree was in business management. To learn different aspects of retail, right? So started off in issuing customers credit to building the early stages of omni experiences through my time at Macy's. And that was really the start of my kind of dipping the toes in technology and how that impacts our consumer experiences at the end of the day and ultimately generates revenue. From there, I went to a company called Ascena. They're the parent company for Lane Bryant, Ann Taylor, Maurice's, Justice, Dress Barn, etc. And I was really at the forefront of implementing their Omni OMS platform. Again, business, right, part of shared services. And really understanding the scope and how we want to implement the solution to the technology aspect of it, helping implement and managing the go live, all of that. So that was my foray from truly kind of that scrappy business leader who was able to get some technology implemented to optimize those scrappy processes to actually implementing enterprise-wide technology platform that scaled across multiple brands. So just through that journey, I kind of started doing more and more technology-related projects where I left retail briefly to work for a utility, launched their digital experience practice, then got a call from sunny Southern California to come join Vans and led their omni-channel and retail store technology teams. And finally, that brings me to 511, where I lead the technology teams here.
Awesome. This is great. In fact, this is really interesting because you have so much experience in retail, and where we all know it is all about customer experience, how we can help our customers find the right product and get that product at the same time get all the support they need in buying process or in the after buying process. So the role of technology is important. At the same time, there's like all these humans involved, and the technology has to be there to help them to be able to answer their customers' questions and be able to help customer buy the item and all that. So you having both sides of it, like the business part of it and then technology, makes it so important. And I'm sure the businesses you work with enjoy the benefits there, just because you are not pure play technology person who knows, hey, my software can do X, Y, and Z, so we should use it. Doesn't matter if it makes business sense or not. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. When I work with my functional partners, I don't approach the conversation as, oh, what tool can we implement? It's more about what is the outcome we're looking to accomplish, and how can we test and learn before we bring in a new tool? Are there practices today that we can optimize before we bring in a new tool? I'm a firm believer in lean before digitize, and only once we know in practice what's working, what's not working. I love to use this term called being scrappy, right? To test the process, run the water through the pipes. Then we can come in and say, okay, let's make an investment because we know what success looks like. And additionally, it really helps us identify the scope of what we want to deliver, right? It's like trying to shoot a movie without a script if you don't have that scope defined. And so that's how I approach the conversations with my functional partners. It's let me take my IT hat off. Let's just talk about what is it that we're looking to solve.
yeah.
And okay, technology is the kind of the how later on element that we'll get to.
Yeah, this is really important because, like I said, it's the business objective that is important, and technology is there to make it possible how we would do it. And at the end of the day, yes, business will only be successful if we are able to help our customers, and for that, we have to help our own people. So, and these days, like I said, we want to be able to run the water through the pipe first to make sure we understand the scope of it. We know exactly what success looks like. That is critical. A lot of technology has come along a long ways. Back in the day, we used to do a lot of deployments and a lot of tech work before you could even test anything. Today, that is a lot easier. Uh, but then the people at technology front, they don't take a breath, or they don't slow down. They keep bringing us new stuff, and it's a challenge. So these days, what we have is this whole new elephant. It's the AI. What to do with it? So have you been having conversations with your business people on the functional side, like? Have they been asking you about, like, hey, Sid, tell us about AI. What can it do, or something like that? What's going on in your life around AI?
Absolutely. And, AI has truly democratized technology to a point where, not very long ago, people would have to come ask you about, hey, there's this new technology. What can we do to, quote unquote, run water through the pipes and test? Now I've got senior business leaders, in fact, just going and downloading the tools and talk about this shadow IT sprawl, right? With AI, you could just get tools and just go. And to me, that's exciting because people are identifying business problems or business opportunities rather, and finding and tools that they can self-serve, that they can go and actually test some hypotheses and come to us. So I genuinely get excited about when people come to me with, hey, here's some tools, what can we do, right? And of course, I pull the conversation back to say, what are you trying to achieve? What is the true outcome that we can measure and succeed with? And then we have conversations around, okay, what's our ecosystem today, and how do we, who will manage, who will train, how do we optimize these tools? So to go back to, your question of, are people getting excited and asking about AI, right? Yes, and we're looking for ways to, crawl, walk, run with AI. What are some tools that we can implement today that can help reduce some of the workload? AI is a collaborator. At 511, we are fairly single-threaded in a lot of our organizations. We're pretty lean, and so how do we empower each of these functional areas with tools? So, of course, like any organization, we have growth aspirations, and how do we stay on that growth trajectory, right, with the folks we have today, because they have a tremendous amount of knowledge, and how do we take that knowledge and give them superpowered tools to run faster, to be more productive? And I think that's the crawl state of AI that we're really excited about getting started.
Yeah, I really like that part. It's like, our business, the people who've been in this business for so long, they know business inside out. There's a lot of tribal knowledge that they have. And with these people who have high commitment towards the brand, the company, they are motivated. And with the tools like AI tools, it just becomes so much easy. Like you said, it's a self-serve kind of thing where business leaders or the people who really want to get something done, they can start conversation with AI and even explore the possibilities with AI, which is like so amazing. Like you don't have to go walk to some other person and hope you can have a good conversation and your questions will get answered. Whereas with the AI, you can keep asking questions, and in fact, it would keep answering, and you could say, well, just explain me this little bit, just explain me this little bit, and it works. So, which is like, really powerful. I like that part. And this is important where our people itself see value in the tools. The business people are able to see value in the tool and that they are able to use because they can use the tool and see their own productivity gains. That's why they're motivated. Well, if I can myself get so much done so quickly, then what if I bring a real technology person, come with me, we can together achieve a lot. So that's where I see what you said, like the people from the company who've been there, they have like a major role to play in building the next generation of tools for within the company.
Yeah,
That part is amazing.
yeah, absolutely. And we want to make it easy to do that, right? I think that's where AI is an exciting prospect because you can speak to technology for most people for the first time using simple human commands and ask those questions, dig in a little deeper. And so for us, the foundation really starts with the data. So there's nothing like asking for a request, and if you get bad information back, you're going to lose trust. And there's an element of training, AI as well, and that's where the second element, which is knowledge, which is our people, comes into play. The tribal knowledge, the just learned intrinsic knowledge they have about business, product, or customers comes into play. And then last but not least is the technology piece of it. So you kind of take the transformed, cleansed data, add the people knowledge, their ability to access today. A basic example of this is, I have an analyst that might take, 2 days to review all of this data and tell me, where our customers are shopping, what they're buying, what the frequency of what they're buying, and how that translates to, our fulfillment and where we want to, take all of those actions. But with that knowledge and having the tools with AI and having that clean data, now that's a few minutes, right?
Yeah.
Querying just to get the basic information. Then you can spend a half day diving even deeper
Right.
into that. And I think that's what my functional partners are truly excited about.
Yeah, that's amazing. Actually, so like in retail business, I see that having talked to a lot of retailers, uh, we all have a lot of like legacy technologies in our tech stack. So something that actually we saw every time we bring in some major change like AI. Before this, it was cloud. There's this always a challenge or a thing in mind that how are we going to deal with all this legacy we have? In a way, it feels like it's a technical debt. So, what do you think? How should these retailers be thinking about their technology that they have today? which is working actually. No, it's not broken. It's doing. We are really doing business, making profits. Now, how should we see those existing investments, existing all this technology we have, and be thinking about future where AI is going to come and use AI tools and technologies with our existing stack? I don't want to throw away all these things. It's like, cannot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head, which is, does our existing technology work? Is there a certain end of life activity that's happening with our existing technology? That's the first and foremost question, right? It's allowing us to operate, it's working. There is no horizon that, there's nothing on the horizon that says this is going to fall down. Cool. All right, we've crossed that bridge. Now, where are the gaps in the existing technology? It may be a net new implementation that you might need, say order orchestration, right, OMS, because maybe we built something in house that works just fine, but it's not as smart as we would like. Maybe it's how we interact with our customers and our customer associate tools that we can, supercharge a little bit more, right? Versus having to re-platform our entire front end in our stores, or re-platform our entire OMS system. So this is where AI, microservices, tools that are AI enabled can come into play, where the investment needed is not as heavy, where the time to implementation is not as heavy, because some of these, we've been on this journey before, where these are at best a year, at worst multi-year projects, where the speed to market is essential for us to get that ROI. And boy, it takes a lot of buy-in to get those projects approved and off the ground, right? So with AI, we can at least get the initial concept in place. I think what remains to be proven is, can we scale? And what is the cost of that compute going to look like at the end of the day? And that's something I'm grappling with right now to understand. But I'm a practitioner and a firm believer of, let's get it into place and let's see, right? Because one of the problems I'm trying to solve is, how do I improve our margins? I mean, it's anyone that sells anything, right? That's the one thing we look to solve for. And how do we optimize getting the product to our customers faster? If AI can solve that for us, being somewhere in the ecosystem, be it our analysts making the right decisions, be it agentic AI making those decisions for us in the background, whatever that cost is, it may be offset by the benefit that we expect to receive. So I think that's a critical aspect of kind of keeping our legacy systems intact, because they do work, but augmenting those systems with these new tools.
Yeah, makes sense. Because like our current existing systems that we have are, a lot of them, most of them are our execution systems. So they help us execute our business process. And then we have those analytical systems that help us in decision making, all those BI tools that we have in our ecosystem. Now, it's the human who is consuming data from BI systems and then helping optimize the execution part of the business. And the legacy systems have their existing role as is. It's not going to change. With the AI agents coming in, they can help the people who are consuming BI tools, data from BI tools, and then using execution system to execute the business actions. These agentic AI tools can come in play here and help those business experts get work done faster. If today in my situation, a lot of times, there's a question I have about like certain work going on, and back in the day, I would have to send out an email to a project manager and get information from that person to really answer, where are we on this project? And that would take a little bit of time. anywhere like a day to few days, depending on, especially I'm working between continents, it can take even longer. Whereas with this AI tools now, I can actually get in, because the data that I get, I don't have to interpret myself. My AI agent can help me analyze and tells me the information in the format I can understand. So my questions get answered, which means I'm productive at my own schedule. I don't have to always match my schedule with the other people in my team. And I see that that's really powerful experience that I am getting from AI, especially. And this is where our existing tech stack stays. And our AI new technologies are new tools that work with existing tools so that we can achieve more. What do you think about this?
Absolutely. My favorite thing to tell my business partners is with tools like this, it helps us get to the so what faster. I have Power BI dashboards today, and I'm sure as someone that's looked at and built and asked for dashboard features, the sprawl just gets bigger and bigger, right? As you get more and more data. Oh, what about this column? What about this graph? What about that? And at the end of the day, you have this monster behemoth of a thing, and I'm like, okay, what's the so what I'm supposed to get out of this, right? And
Yeah.
with AI, it will just tell you, hey, these are the KPIs, and this is how you're measuring against those KPIs, and these are your areas where you're doing great. These are the areas where you're not doing so great, as in relation to, your goal of generating revenue, right? And a daily, weekly, quarterly, yearly basis against your targets. So having that information at your fingertips without having to do, deep roll up your sleeves analysis uh, allows you to flex your strategic muscle. And that's where, I want my functional leaders, my business partners to really get to. It's, your example of understanding, project timelines and where things are is another way where we want to build some internal agents that can, you know, knowledge bots is something maybe we've talked about 5, maybe 10 years ago. And it was one of those things. It's like, oh, it's going to take us a long time to build these things. And, oh, we have to continuously keep updating them, right? In this today's environment, you can take all your policies, you can take your relevant emails, and you can load them in, and your knowledge bot is ready, right? I mean, I saw a demo the other day where it was literally live, right? It was done, and the knowledge bot was ready to go. And to me, it's like, okay, with tools like this, I can go internal facing, I can go external facing. Internal facing is my finance department can reduce their email volume because of the questions they get asked can now be fielded by this knowledge bot that is in our chat, right? I can just go, hey, how do I set up an account for this new vendor? Here it is, right? Customer facing could be, tell me more about this product. You released a version 2.0. How is this better than version 1.0? And that's something our sales agents, associates in our stores can have, but also our customers can interact on our website. So those are some very simple use cases that we can generate relatively quickly and go. But yeah, I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit for us to go get.
Yeah, yeah. And like you also mentioned about like cost, like computing cost and all this that would come along with new AI tools. What do you think about the productivity gains we will have? Because like all these seasoned professionals you have working in your company, uh, and they are actually, their time is expensive, and so, and at the same time, AI right now, everything is like investors are funding a lot of those, so that's why a lot of these tools are not as expensive or pretty cheap, like $20 for a monthly account of chat gpt. It's like
Yeah.
dirt cheap. um, but over time, I'm sure once we start using it, we get addicted, they are going to increase prices, and that's what you and I are thinking, like man, once I implement it, I know the cost is going to go up. uh, and we can kind of some way extrapolate and project like how much it might cost at some point in time. What do you think, like the productivity gains with AI, would that actually balance out the additional cost that we might incur because with these new tools?
Yeah, I think that is to be seen, right? Because to your point, a lot of these tools are not very expensive today, but what will they ramp up to in the future is TBD. But the way we can set ourselves up for success is a couple of ways that we're thinking about it. It's we need to drive adoption for these tools. I think that's the number one thing in terms of increasing productivity and seeing the benefit come out of it, because that truly is the ROI indicator for this, right? So, you know, training is a key aspect of that, and having people first and foremost evangelize AI in terms of the use cases that they're utilizing today to gain benefit. It unlocks some aha moments for people. I didn't know you could do that with AI. Oh, I didn't know you could put two Excel files together and get a so what that quickly. Today it only takes me 30 minutes, so I don't think about it. But hey, you've shown me it can take 5 seconds, right? Even little things like that, you dip your toe into using the tools, you get initial adoption. We provide training so that you can continue to self-serve, because one of the foundational elements is data. So uh, I don't need you to be a data analyst that's writing SQL queries to get with AI. You don't need to do that. You can go get the so what relatively quickly. So I think that's step one, is providing training and increasing that adoption and evangelizing AI. And then when we talk about ROI in the future, if that adoption is there, I think as the cost, and we're not naive about that, right? I think that cost is going to increase, but with that increased adoption, there should be an offset where, hey, we may not need to, increase headcount as exponentially as we thought as our growth, continues to grow, but our people are more productive with the tools that they do have. I look at it as, when Netflix first came out, I forget what we paid. I think it was like $6 or $7 a month for all of it. And I'm not sure what I pay now, but at some point I've said to myself, if the service was, $30 a month, I'd be okay with it. I utilize it enough. My family gets enough enjoyment out of it, right? It's fine. And I kind of think about AI in a similar lens, which is, hey, if I'm getting an enterprise value out of this, and we can get products to market faster, we can better serve our customers, there's value. Let's keep going.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Well, on that lines, then, while I have you here, there is some curiosity I have, and I get people ask me this question. So, in turn, I want to come and ask you. My business domain is order management and working with retailers, help them implement omni-channel strategies like buy online, pick up in store, particularly shipping online orders from the store, helping optimize, make best use of the inventory, and save on shipping cost and all that standard OMS spiel. Now, what do you think of how can AI be what role AI can play in this omni-channel strategy and omni-channel strategy implementation part of it? Like, how can we use AI technologies in omni-channel?
Yeah, when we first, the initial implementations of Omni, there was a lot of dials that were human driven, right? What product do we want to expose for Omni? How much safety stock should we have? Where should the product be fulfilled from to optimize? And you kind of set it and you forget it. And maybe you review the business, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever, and then you go in and you adjust dials as you need for your peaks and valleys of the business. I would love to be able to do that in the moment as the orders are happening. And I think that's where AI can come into play, where it's dynamic order orchestration, where it can see that, hey, demand for a certain product, we're based in California, is really high in California, meaning there's a high likelihood that the customer will go to the store and actually shop that product. I don't have to incur, the margin vampires, right? The shipping, the labor for processing that order, all of that. Versus, let's say Texas. Maybe the demand for that product in Texas is not so high. Um, Maybe just in that given week or given month, right? Our velocity is lower than we projected, and Texas is sitting on inventory. So instead of sending that order to the California store because it happens to be closest to the customer, let's send it to Texas. You incur, a little bit extra for shipping potentially, but it's marginally a better play than to mark that product down in Texas 30 days from now, or worse, touch that product a second time and ship it somewhere else for them to sell again, right? So making those decisions dynamically and in the moment versus the analog way where we had to wait for the results to come, where we had to um, match, series of data, your cancellation, your order aging, and or is this product at risk for markdown, right? And putting that, and then turning the dial, you've lost the plot, right? It's done. So I'm hoping this is where AI can come in and do that a little bit more dynamically. And in fact, I've seen demos of tools that are doing that. So going back to our earlier conversation about, having legacy systems, but being able to put solutions like this on top of our legacy systems, where it's an in-between layer of order placement and order fulfillment. And this is that order orchestration layer that I'm like, hey, AI can come in and really help us go fast.
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, definitely. The knowledge base, like you mentioned earlier, the business knowledge base, that given AI trained on that, using the data in the real time could potentially give us a lot of opportunity, create a lot of opportunity for like fine tuning those dials we have, and fine tune those settings so that the business based on the real time situations, the decisions are being made, and they're keeping in mind that they are like for the benefit of the business, which is important. And otherwise, like we'll have to have a human sitting there like watching, like a knock center kind of thing, whereas this now my agents can do it for me 24/7, and maybe call me on phone someday and say, well, like, Anil, do you want to choose this or that?
Well, and it's with AI, it can also give us the analysis, right?
Uh-huh.
It's hey, this decision was made, and this is the benefit of that decision. It is that product was supposed to sit and it's at risk of aging. It is aged, and it's still full price right now. It hasn't been marked down. So we were able to sell it before that markdown happens, and here's the perceived benefit, right? It can
Right.
talk to you about that in a very human way, kind of that end state, right, with the Gen AI mixed with that agentic AI in the background that's doing this.
Hmm.
And that's the, you know, I believe that's the walk state. I don't think that's a run state with where the tools are today.
Right, right. No, makes sense, makes sense. Now, like, there's the other thing which always we come across in our conversations is about data privacy, how much of information that I have, which people will get access to, and what people are going to do with it. And there's like a lot of those concerns. Now, we've been through all this like 15 years ago when all these systems were going to cloud, and I was told that hey, we are going to use AWS, and I'm like, should I share this information with Amazon because they are my competitor also? Now, similar new again, right? All this information that we are sharing with AI technologies, and then if I don't understand it well enough, I'm concerned. Like, what is it that I should be worried about? I don't even know what should I be worried about. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat as you because when we bring AI tools within the four walls of 511, we want the knowledge that is proprietary to us to stay within the four walls of 511, right? So there are safeguards that we have to put in place. So we do a security audit of our AI tools that we bring in. There are, ChatGPT is famous for this. You can turn off like, hey, don't train this model on this data set that I'm, about to share with you. So putting those safeguards in place is the level one. I've spoken to some security companies as well, and they have AI security tools that can prevent users from putting in sensitive data, even if you say, hey, this model shouldn't train on this data, right? Because that's the ultimate risk for us. I think for any organization, you want your trade secrets, you want your proprietary information, and feel comfortable using AI to make decisions based on that without having to sanitize, right? Because if you have to sanitize that data, it's going to take just as long of time to do the actual work than putting it in AI. So it's a level of trust that we have to have in our security audit and our AI monitoring tools, and within the AI tool itself to say when we say, hey, cover your eyes, when you do this, or just keep it here amongst friends. Do not train the model and share it outside. That's working as expected. So that's going to be a space that's going to continue to evolve in terms of how much secure it's going to get. In fact, I think that's an opportunity for a lot of organizations now to develop some products in AI security.
Yeah, yeah. I think it'd be cool. I don't know if you already have this. Do you already have like a checklist kind of thing to review for internal purposes or something where, like, what is it that I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do with AI? I mean, the security companies, when they say that I'm going to help you with securing with the AI related interference and all that, sometimes I'm also concerned that this company itself is using AI. So, like, where does this loop end?
Yeah.
So, do you think people will have some level of paper pencil kind of thing where they'll say, well, this is how we would operate, or at least internally, this is how we think, and then bring in tools into it. For example, like ChatGPT has made it easy, but then it's a simple tool also, where you can just check the box and say, well, don't use this for your training model, right? But then beyond that, once we start using agentic AI, we would have more complex architecture, more complex, systems than simple ChatGPT conversation. And at that point, there will be concerns from our business team. So I'm like thinking about, like, what should I be prepared with? Like a technology person, what kind of checklist should I be prepared with? And what kind of answers should I have for these functional people? That's like a question that I have. Like, are you getting those questions just in the one-to-one conversations?
We're getting started on that journey, right? So in fact, we just updated our software usage policy with,
Mm-hmm.
safeguards and guardrails towards AI. So something as simple as, hey, don't use your personal, because people pay for their AI chatbots today. Do not put sensitive company information into that. Use your company provided account, and that has the right level of safeguards, right? So in acknowledging this policy, you're willing to adhere to that because a this is people are involved in this process, so there's going to be some degree of leakage that happens, and I think that's where training and kind of having these conversations is critical. We don't have a checklist per se, right? And I think that's going to develop as you go through different functional areas. And I'm a firm believer in having purpose-built tools. Design teams, product development teams will use different AI tools than my finance team or even our customer service or IT teams, as an example. So, what is the quote unquote checklist that you need in order to safely interact with this product and that you're getting the outcomes that you want? It could start with something as simple as, hey, the product brief that you input into this model needs to adhere to, these four basics, right? Do not, describe our core trade secrets in terms of fabric technology and things like that. That's irrelevant in terms of the actual design, right? That comes into the manufacturing part of the process. Um, so that's maybe one safeguard we could put in place to say, hey, this is how it needs to be done. And then with our finance teams, it could be, another degree of that in terms of how much information we disclose to AI, to build our plans. So I think as we use the tools, we're going to have we're going to learn and update as we go. I expect our software usage policy to be, annual, if not quarterly, depending on how many tools we start to test and learn with.
Awesome. Yeah, this is great. Yeah. So I have had this conversation is going really good, and I have lost track of time, but it looks like we've gone like 40 minutes into it already. Towards the conclusion, um, we all are excited for what is coming. Can you give us like idea of like in next 3 to 5 years, what do you think you want to accomplish in AI tools, and how you want to use this technology, and also how to think about it? Do you have advice for leaders like you in the retail space in the business? How can they be thinking about next 3 to 5 years and using AI in their business?
Yeah, I think from a business standpoint, it's what is it that you're looking to accomplish, and how do you use tools to achieve speed to market? That is the number one thing that I think about because when you don't jump on an opportunity, it's an opportunity lost. So if there is a trend that you need to react to, right? How can you use your existing tools to do that? And AI is a key component of that. And I think in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to be able to make smarter decisions much faster because we're going to be more informed with AI tools and developing business strategies and executing those strategies is what I'm excited about with AI in the next 3 to 5 years. The whole crawl, walk, run, right? I think a lot of things we've been thinking, or fly, a lot of things we've been thinking about on that horizon are now firmly in the crawl and walk state. So I'm eager to see what does that run state look like 3 to 5 years from now. I mean, I feel like just a year ago we were talking about AI as, oh, this is cute. You can go into chatbot, ChatGPT, and ask a couple of questions. It can design fun emojis and things like that for you, right? It was a playground, but now it's a serious tool. Not just ChatGPT, but the AI ecosystem as a whole has become a serious tool where I think there's going to be exponential growth in capabilities. So where can we utilize some of those tools, agentic AI, where it makes decisions for us to help us run a lot faster? And that's what I'm excited about.
Awesome, man. This is great. This is great. And yeah, I'm also happy, excited that I had opportunity to talk to you about it. And really, the ideas that you talked about are going to give me a lot to be thinking and be prepared for as the businesses come up with ideas for using technology. Because I'm sure it's my in my job role, I have to be better prepared when I go talk to the retailers about like what can we do, how is our technology helping, utilizing AI in helping retailers. So this is great. And like you said earlier, before this podcast conversation we were having, that maybe in like 6 months or a year time frame, we may want to get together again and talk about a recap on like what was the last year like, and what we think next year or two will look like. Because right now, like you said, there's a lot, and we have to embrace these technologies and think about and see what is it we can do, learn. Um, in like a year, we would have many new good ideas on what is it we can do with AI. Yeah.
100%. And, I promise to have an AI checklist for you for that conversation.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much, Sid. And yeah, and you have a great day.
Thank you, Anil. Appreciate it.
That's it for this episode of the Customer Centric Retailing Podcast. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast. Please rate and review and recommend to a friend or a fellow retail fanatic. This podcast is presented by Hotworks Commerce.